Thank you very much. I am so sorry that you have to listen to me on a Monday morning. I wanted to find out whether it was a rumor that today was Monday morning, but unfortunately it is true. Today is Monday morning. And I am so happy to be here because I woke up this morning. And you have to understand, after I talk a little bit about my life, why that's so important. You're probably thinking, this guy's going to brag about how perfect his life was. I have to tell you that I did not and continue not to have a perfect life. I asked the group over here if they knew of anyone that was invisible. Do you know of anyone that's invisible? You do. Who's invisible? Okay, I like that. God's invisible. How do you know He's there? Your faith. And that is so true, because that's one of the smarts you need to have. Unfortunately, today, we only test one of the things that we consider important, and that's your IQ, your intelligence, what you learn in school. But there's another intelligence called your faith that is just as important, because when all else fails, what do? We pray. And we pray. And we pray. The third intelligence has to do with physical intelligence. And I'm very happy. Raise your hand if you're an athlete. Congratulations. When I was your age, I wanted to be like you. I wanted to be you. I wanted to be an athlete. Is there anybody here who is 4'11"? Come over here. I want you to give this young lady a big round of applause, please. What's your name? Amanda. What grade are you in? You're a senior. Amanda, when I was in high school and entered as a freshman, I was 4'11". Okay? And it's a little harder when you're a guy and you're 4'11". You know what I used to wear? Cowboy boots. And I used to put on cowboy boots because I wanted to look a little taller. The only problem is that when you get on a basketball court, can you leave the boots on? You can't play basketball with boots on, right? You can, but you're not going to get very far. And I'm going to ask you a very, very personal question, Amanda. You don't have to answer if you don't want. Do you get teased? Sometimes. But not anymore? Did you get teased a lot when you were in middle school? Oh, she was considered tall. I like that. That's a good answer. You were considered tall. But have you ever seen someone teased for something? Okay, I didn't know that was called bullying until now. And I have to tell you that it takes a lot of courage to put up with that kind of stuff. And I'm very proud to hear that you're a senior. Okay, are your bags packed? You know what I mean by that? It's April. You're leaving. Okay, so what's in your bag? What are you putting in your bag? You know, when I talk to guys, when they say, oh, I'm going out of town, what's the first thing they do? They put their underwear in the bag. That's a diploma. And they think that all you're going to need when you go into the real world is a diploma. Well, guess what? Is that all you take when you travel? No. You take some other items, right? Like scores, volunteer service, and THEA, and all that other stuff. Do you have that already? Your applications to go to college, all that. She's starting the summer. Give this young lady a big round of applause. What did I say was one of the smarts that we need to be aware of? Yes, you do. What did he say that is invisible? God. Okay, so faith, that's one of the smarts, your faith. The other one is physical intelligence. And the other one, which is the most significant predictor of success, you know what that's called? Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. You know what emotional intelligence is? I love your shirt. It's so 60s. I can remember the 60s. Okay? What do you think is emotional intelligence? For example, if I see you sad and I come up to, what is your name? Alexander. And if I come up to you and I say, are you okay today? You need anything? Let me know. And I'm your teacher, okay? You look a little sad today. I'm not saying you do. But if you did, and I come up to you and I say, if you want to talk to me after class, let me know if there's anything going on that I can help you with. That is called emotional intelligence. Do we have teachers that have high emotional intelligence in this school?
Yes.
How do you know? How do you know they have high emotional intelligence? Because they care, right? Can you see through people? Can you see through people? How do you know when someone's sincere? How do you know when someone's not trying to pull a fast one on you? Time and relationships that you build, the friends that you have, that is called emotional intelligence. And a lot of people lack in emotional intelligence. What happens if you become a big star athlete? And your head gets full of air. And you walk around like nothing smells. What happens to that person when he gets old? Is he going to have a lot of friends? No. But what happens to that person that's always ready to give their shirt off his back for you? Or help you out when you're in trouble? Or talk to you when you just broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend? You have those friends, don't you? That is called emotional intelligence. We're going to go through a little exercise right now. And I'm sorry that my lifeline's not very clear, but I'm going to try to square it off here a little bit. I'm going to talk about my life, not because it's a perfect life. I'm going to talk to you about my life because I learn something every day. And at some point, I'm going to explain to you how at one point in my life, I thought about killing myself. And suicide, unfortunately, is one of those things that should never, never, never happen in a person's life. I was born in 1956, and notice how I have positive and negative. What's below the line is bad stuff. What's above is positive stuff. So obviously being born is a pretty good deal. But then I go to kinder, and it's on the negative side. And when I was 4 years old, my parents were very smart. They said, you got to go to school. So they put me in this little school. But the point was that I was so shy, I didn't know how to ask for things. And I don't know how many of you have ever had this happen. Have you ever peed in your pants? Don't raise your hand. That's not something you want to put on Facebook. I know some people would. I wouldn't. But I'm telling you. And if you tell anybody that I peed in my pants, I'm going to call you liars. Okay? But I can still see my face on the floor. And it was waxed. And it looked like a mirror. And it was my pee. And I remember being so embarrassed that I had not raised my hand and asked the teacher to go to the bathroom. I didn't know how. The teacher came up to me and she said, it's okay, it's okay. But I remember crying. And I remember going home. And I was so embarrassed I didn't know how to tell my mom that I had peed in my pants. And every time I would go to school, even when I was in high school, I had dreams that I had peed in my pants in front of everybody. And that was always one of the scariest thoughts. You know, the whole idea of that happening was crazy. Well, ended up going to elementary school, and the highlight of being in elementary school was in 1967. You know what my highlight was? I was a safety patrol. A safety patrol is a crossing guard. And I used to have one of those flags, and the kids would cross. And I remember one time I became the sergeant, and I had the whistle. So I was the one telling everybody when to put the flags down. And I remember distinctively one morning, this beautiful girl walked with her mom. And you know what? I fell in love with this girl. But she was in the 3rd grade. And I was almost going to be a 5th grader. That's crazy. How can a 5th grader love a 3rd grader? That's crazy. Right? Well, I didn't see this girl until later. And then I'll talk to you about this girl. But let's stop right there. All right. So, something really, really bad happens at Lamar. And I'm going to try to show you that. In 1969, something horrible happened at Lamar. How many of you have played sports in middle school? Now, please be truthful to me, because somebody told me that this is true. Is it true that in middle school, if you try out for the team, you make the team? Is that true? Most people that try out for the team in the 7th grade will be part of the team, right? Wrong. Is it true or not? I don't know of too many people that get rejected from playing sports in the 7th grade or being part of a cheerleader. Well, cheerleader is different. Cheerleading is different. But I was 4'11". I tried out for the basketball team. And you know what the coach did? The coach came up to me. And I wasn't even on the floor for 3 minutes. And he comes up to me. Sir, what's your name? Romeo. Romeo? Like in Juliet? Yeah. Romeo. Yes, sir. This is not your sport. Will you go and go get dressed? You know, that broke my heart. He got me off the court. I wasn't on the court but 3 minutes, and he said, basketball is not your sport. So I go to the dressing room, devastated. You know, I just said, what the hell am I doing at this school? Why am I going to this stupid middle school? And then I start getting dressed. And you know what happens when I start getting dressed? The coach comes in and says, oh, I was only kidding? No. Somebody stole my underwear. To add insult to injury, I'm wearing a pair of brand new Levi's with a lot of starch. And I have to walk almost 2 miles to go home. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to add insult to injury here. So guess what I did? And again, if you tell anybody I did this, I'm going to call you liars. The most logical thing in my mind was to steal somebody else's underwear. Hey, pass it on. I put them on and I'm like, God, I don't know where they've been. So I'm walking home, you know, like, oh man. And I'm walking and the first thing I do when I get home, I take them off. And I throw them into the hamper and I go straight to bed. In the morning, I wake up and my mother's on my face. ¿De dónde sacaste estos chones? ¿A cuáles, mamá? Estos. Ni tú ni tus hermanitos usan esta marca. Ah, ¿sabe qué, ma? Es que daban PE y a lo mejor los agarré por error. Do you know, I didn't have the courage, number one, to tell her I had stolen them. And secondly, I did not have the courage to tell her and my father and my brothers that I didn't make the basketball team. You see, I used to play with my brothers at the house. And I was taller than my brothers. My brothers were 2, 3, 4, 5. Pues me aventaba. I would slam dunk y toda la cosa, right? But it was different with kids of my own age. But I didn't want my brothers to know I hadn't made the team. Horrible experience in 1969. I graduated from Martin High. That was good. You know why that was good? Because I didn't like high school. I hated high school. I have no fond memories of high school. I will probably never be a Tiger legend. You know why I'll never be a Tiger legend? Because I didn't do anything in Martin High. The only thing I went to do at Martin High was I wanted to get out of Dodge. I just wanted to go, get my credits, get out, go to college, get a job, get out of Laredo. I used to work at a Dairy Queen. You know how embarrassing that is? You go to a dance and some girl tells you, "Where do you work?" I couldn't say Burger King because we didn't have a Burger King. And I couldn't say Whataburger because only the big guys worked at Whataburger. If you were cooking hamburgers and you worked at Whataburger, you were in the big league. Pero aquí estaba haciendo conitos. Y él decía, banana splits. And then, cuando llegaba el boss, when that yellow hound would get there, guess what? I would feed that bus by myself in 45 minutes. By myself. And I felt so proud when I would see all the football players eating. I would say, yo les di a comer a todos estos. I didn't say it. I thought about it, I didn't say it. Se creen mucho. But you know what? I was actually envious of them. Because I wanted to be an athlete, guys. I wanted to play something. I did not know whether or not I had the talent to do that. And I always felt like a wimp. And I was invisible. My friends were invisible. But some of my friends became visible when they get in trouble. And I didn't have time to get in trouble because I was the oldest of 5 boys, and my father would get laid off. He would lose his job a lot. So I always felt good when I would get my check, I'd give it to my mom, and she'd go buy groceries. One of the best Christmases I ever had was when I gave my mom the check, and she bought tennis shoes for all my brothers. That felt so damn good. I got a high. I was on a drug here. A natural drug. I was actually buying tennis shoes for my brothers. And they thought I was a hero. And I remember one of my brothers gave me a Hot Wheel in return. Estaba todo quebrado, pero estaba bien. No miraba de lado. And one day, my little brother says, ponlos aquí para que los mires cuando estás dormido. And sí, dijo, me dice, ve a la casa de mi amiguito y no tienen shelves en la casa de ellos. ¿Cómo? What do you mean they don't have shelves? Pues nosotros tenemos shelves todo alrededor. Eran los 2x4s. It didn't have a wall. The house didn't have a wall. It had the black paper, and it wasn't finished. And my little brother thought it was weird that when he would visit his friends, his room didn't have shelves. It didn't have the exposed 2x4. It had a wall. It was flat. So we didn't know we were poor. But you know, those were the fondest and richest points of my life. Had I not found something to do, probably I would have done something stupid. And let me get to that now. So I don't like myself. And 1977, I want to feel important. So I start going to Laredo Community College, and I start taking all these science courses. I graduated in midterm because no quería nada con Martin High. I wanted to go to college and do something with my life. So when I graduated, I started taking all these science courses. Taught my chemistries, my anatomies and physiologies, my organic chemistry, my trigonometries, all of the courses that were necessary to do one thing. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to be a dentist. You know why I wanted to be a dentist? Not because I care about teeth. because I wanted doctor in front of my name. Wrong reason to be a dentist. Wrong reason to be anything. I wanted to see my name. Can you imagine growing up 4'11", a size 10 and a half shoe in middle school, and your name is Romeo? I didn't know little Romeo then. That would have been a cool name today to have, Little Romeo. Okay? We didn't have rap music. We had rock and roll. Okay? So what would the kids do? They would bully me. Ay, viene Romeo. And what would I do? Órale, vamos pa acá y te enseño que trae Romeo. And I got into a lot of fights. But you know what happened when I would get into fights? Me cateaban. I would lose. So guess what I learned how to do? They would say something to me, and you know what I'd go? Ah, sí, como que traes algo conmigo. ¿Sabes qué? Tú y tu jefita. And then I take off. And I'd run. And then, you know what? That's how I learned how to run. And I didn't know that running was going to help me later on in my career. Running actually helped me in my career. So what do I do? 1977. Wow. Do you remember that third grader I saw? Yeah. Well, I ran into her in high school. She was going to Nixon. I was going to Martin. Rival schools. I was looking for my girlfriend. My girlfriend was a drug addict. Beautiful girl. But the only way she could get her drug money was to sleep with others. I didn't know that. Until one day I go to Dairy Queen, and she's sleeping with a manager in the manager's van. And that really tore my heart. That really broke my heart, but I still loved her, and I wanted to change her. I wanted to help her. She had an addiction. That's when I first got exposed to drugs and what they would do to people. And it was so disturbing to see that, because I knew the only reason she was doing it was to get her drug money. So I go to this high school dance looking for her, but instead I run across that third grader. But now she's in high school, and she's standing there, and she's wearing a beautiful white blazer. She's got long, dark, straight hair, big, beautiful brown eyes. She looks gorgeous. So guess what I do? I go up to her and I go, ¿verdad que no quieres bailar? What a stupid way to ask somebody to dance. ¿Verdad que no quieres bailar? How many of you guys have ever done that? I mean, when you're so embarrassed, or you're so shy, you really want to ask this girl, and she's afraid she's going to turn you down. ¿Verdad que no quieres bailar? Like you want her to say no so you can go back to your corner, right? But you know what? She said yes. And you know, I danced with her, and danced with her, and danced with her. And then I brought her back, and you know what I did? I grabbed her hand, and I never let her go. And she was freaking out. She was going like... And I wouldn't let her go. For me, it was love at first sight. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Anybody here experience that, guys? Raise your hand. Love at first sight, guys. Come on. Be honest. Come on. They're not. Oh, only one guy. All right. We'll talk later. All right. So guess what? I dated this girl for 8 years. And in 1977, you know what that girl did? She broke up with me. I was in college. She was in Laredo. I was in San Marcos, Southwest Texas State, which is now Texas State. Great college to go to. Highly recommend it if you all are thinking about Texas State. So, what happens? She breaks up with me. I supposedly want to be a dentist. I was taking organic chemistry, which is a killer course. That's the one that separates the boys from the men, the women from the girls, for those people that are considering going into dentistry. I had already taken the course. I had a C and a B. I was taking them again because I wanted an A and a B. But I was also taking genetics. And I was also taking anatomy. And I was also doing something very stupid. I was taking 4 sciences, which meant that I was in college all day long. Then I realized that I was going to get a C. Another C on a course I already had a C. So I said, you know what? I'm going to drop this course. Remember this when you go to college. Follow directions. I dropped the course. I told the professor, I'm not going to go to school, to your class anymore. I'm going to go to college, but not in your class. But you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to pay $2 to drop the class. And guess what I got in that class? An F. So the day I saw my grades was the day my girlfriend broke up. And where do you go to find your answers? You go to the library. So I went to the library that night. And it was the darkest night of my life. I went up to the top floor. Found my way up to the very top. I looked down. And I stood on that ledge. And I thought, do I do it or not? I came this close to pushing myself over. And then it hit me. I had tears in my eyes. I did not like myself. I thought I was worth nothing. I was never going to go to dental school. I had just lost the love of my life, and I was broke. I didn't have any more money. I had nothing in me. And then it hit me. And I think it was God that hit me. I think he said something like this, and who do you think you are? What gives you the right to make the decisions that I make? Because I am the one that knows when you're going to go. It is not up to you. Not only that, what are you going to do to your father and mother? Not only that, what are you going to do to your friends? What are you going to do to the 4 brothers that you have? Does this mean that any time you have a problem, the only way that you can solve your problem is by ending your life? Come on. You want to have a pity party? Have your pity party. But guess what? Nobody comes to your pity parties. You have pity parties, guys? Girls, have you ever had a pity party? When you're staying in your room and you're looking up on the ceiling and you're going, why is this happening to me? Why did my parents get divorced? Why did my boyfriend leave me? Why do I have this drug problem? Why didn't I make the cheerleaders? Why is it that I didn't pass the test I needed to pass? Why is it that nobody likes me? All that and all that's about is a pity party. Who comes? If you want to have a pity party, who's going to come to your pity party? Somebody tell me. Don't your friends get tired of listening to the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again? What am I supposed to do? You go to your friends. Do you think he really likes me? I can't get him out of my mind. Or the guy that goes to his friends and says, man, I really like this girl. I can't stop thinking about her. How do I get her out of my mind? What do you think I should do? And then the following day, it's Tuesday, the same story, la misma novela. And then your friends are going, man, I don't want to talk to this guy anymore. He always talks about the same stuff. And you start turning people off because you want to have a pity party. And then you start doing one or two things. You start having your pity parties, and either you start getting more involved in your school, in your sport, you pick up a weightlifting, or you pick up running, or you pick up something that keeps you occupied, or you start doing drugs. You know what I started doing in college? I started drinking. Thinking that by drinking, I thought, well, at least I'm not doing marijuana. At least I'm not doing coke. I'm just drinking. I get so drunk that sometimes I don't even remember how I got to where I would go. And I said, you know what? This has to stop. Because maybe one of these days, as I'm driving and I don't even know why I got to where I was going, I might kill somebody. Or I might kill myself. 1977 was a horrible year for me. And I came this close to not being here anymore. And here I am at the age of 57. And do I still have pity parties? Yes. But I get over them. Now, if I would have done that, look at, see if I can play with this. Look at all the things I would have missed. In 1978, I became a teacher. Taught at a middle school, Christian middle school. In 1980, guess who I married? The third grader. And you know what the third grader said? ¿Te quieres casar conmigo? Sí. Pero yo, ahorita. And she goes, no. Hasta que acabe el colegio. Oh. She's so hard, man. But I'm glad she's so hard. So we didn't get married till 1980. I wanted to get married in 78. I already had a job. And then in 1984, we had a baby girl. And when she was 4 years old, you know what I told her? You know what I told my daughter? I was so stupid. You know what I told my daughter? I didn't want a daughter. I wanted a son. Now I have you. And she starts to cry. No aguanta nada. And I said, ya no estoy llorando. Ahí vas con tu pity party. And I said, okay, Mita, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. Mira, te voy a explicar. This is how it works. This is how it comes down. Because I see it at school all the time. Look. In this world, women suffer more than men. True or false? True. Women suffer more than men in this world. Why? Not just because they have to give birth, which is important, obviously, but because society has not given women their place yet. Why is it that we don't have a woman president yet? Why? Why is it that we don't have women priests? Because tradition's been the other way, right? But I told my daughter, look, don't ever, ever, ever be anybody's fool. I don't care if the little boy tells you he's going to give you all the stars, all the planets, the moon, the sun. Protect yourself. And I would give her nothing but coloring books on how to prevent child abuse. I was freaking her out. But you know why? Because when I was a teacher, I had two girls that came up to me when I was running the LAP, an in-school suspension program, the first one in Laredo. And I had two little girls that came up. Mr. Rodriguez, we don't know what to do. What? You want to go to the bathroom? What? Why are you jumping like that? Nah, sir, don't be funny. We think we're pregnant. And I was going, oh my God. But nobody wants to take us. So what do? I va al tonto y las llevo a checar. And sure enough, they didn't tell me they were pregnant. But they told me to take them to another clinic. So I go to this other clinic, and I'm taking them in my car in this other clinic. Okay, I'm taking them to this other clinic. And then they tell me, I didn't know they were pregnant. And then they tell me, okay, who's going to pay for the abortion? I said, what? The abortion? What are you talking about? Yeah, these two little girls are pregnant. I didn't know this was an abortion clinic. They just told me to bring them over here. So I put them in the car, and I went and talked to the principal, and I said, sir, I took two girls from the abortion clinic. I almost got fired. And I should have been fired. I should have known better. But I was so eager to help them. I was 21 years old, thought I knew everything. I was already teaching, so I wanted to save the world. Because I would get a high when I would save somebody. I needed the drug. Guess what? Those little girls had been molested by an uncle. One of them ends up marrying a Mexican national, and the other one I never saw again. We don't know what happened, but we reported the case immediately to CPS. So here I am. You know what happened to that little girl who was born in '84? I created a monster. She ends up admitted to Rice University. I told her that I would pay her university. She gets admitted to Rice in Notre Dame. I thought she was going to go for the Texas Tomorrow plan I already had. I had it all figured out. $50,000 a year. And if she ever sees this recording, I need to be careful about what I'm going to say next. She didn't ask me to do this, but I sold my ranch for her to do good, because I knew she was going to do good. So she ends up getting a degree from Rice University, teaches for 2 years in an inner city high school in Houston, English. She has to wear an ID because they think she's a student. She's short. Ends up admitted to the University of Texas Law School, and you have no idea what she does now. She's a lawyer. Where is she a lawyer? In Laredo. Who does she defend? Domestic violence victims. Women that get beat up at home. And I'm so proud of the fact that she also works a year in immigration law. And other lawyers tell her, you know what? When you grow up, you can have your own firm. And you'll be able, it's good, you're getting experience, you're going to court. She's going, no, this is my dream job. I am helping people that cannot afford lawyers. And I'm giving them a chance to do something with their lives. And that's what happened to that girl who was born in '84. We start the lab program, and then I become principal at Lamar. My God, the same school where I couldn't play basketball. Revenge of the nerds. I better look for that coach. I'm going to demote that guy. He's going to get fired. Hey, you remember me? ¿Qué onda? ¿Te acuerdas cuando me dijiste que no la traía? But he wasn't there. He was not there. Well, I was a principal there for 2 years, and then I get a baby boy. Wow, how did that happen? And I'm going, my God, now I have a baby boy. What am I going to tell him? I wish I had a daughter? No. So I'm excited. Now I have the perfect family. I have a son and I have a daughter. So JD's born, and I'm a proud dad. And then I end up principal of Cigarroa Middle School. And the first thing we did there was become an unacceptable school. My God, how did I do that? I'm a principal of an unacceptable school in South Laredo that nobody believes that they can do anything. So we started a partnership school initiative. We did away with lockers. We were the first school that did away with lockers. You're probably going, oh my God, you should have left them. We put uniforms. Oh my God, uniforms. We did testing. Oh my God, testing. We did all the stuff we have today. And we were one of the first schools to do it in Laredo. Exciting, 5 years. While I'm there, I start the evening alternative school. And all my life, I never wanted to be a regular principal. I wanted to be a principal of invisible students. So I wanted to be the principal of an alternative school. So I don't know how many have ever heard Lara Academy. Well, we started Lara Academy. It's like your academy in United. What's it called? STEP. It's like STEP. It was there before STEP. So who would I get? I get a lot of girls that had kids. We had a daycare. The parents wanted to get their GED. School was from 7:30 to 9 o'clock at night. You had different shifts. If you were from one gang, we put you in the morning shift. If you were from another gang, we put you in the night shift. And it worked like a dream. It was awesome. I was having the time of my life, but I was never home. That was horrible. I was never home. I wasn't seeing my kids enough. I was too involved in my work. I wanted to save the world, and I wasn't paying enough attention to my own kids. And I realized that was wrong. To make matters worse, then I become the principal at Nixon. They asked me, take care of Lara, and you can do Nixon too. I was an idiot. I didn't ask for more money. Okay, you need me, I will go help. So I became the principal at Nixon, principal at Lara. I was on fire, man. I was on my drug. I was having a blast. I was really, really, really helping a lot of people, helping a lot of teachers, helping a lot of kids. We had a daycare for the kids, babies. We had people getting their GEDs. If you needed 2 credits to graduate, you come at night, get the credit, and you graduate with your class, credit by exam. We had computer-assisted credits. I mean, we were on fire, man. We were on fire. But I end up at Nixon. And then all of a sudden, my daughter graduates from Alexander, and I'm telling everybody Nixon is the best high school. And in the meantime, my wife teaches at United. We're a confused family. Can you imagine all those colors in one house? We're all over the map. And then it happens. I'm at Edinburgh, Region 1, and I find out that there's a vacancy to be the superintendent of schools in Zapata. So what do? I talk to my wife, and I ask her, this works the opposite. And I asked her, and it's gone. Okay. That's a high point in my life. It goes this way. Really high. I end up going to Zapata. My son is 10 years old. My family stays in Laredo because my family doesn't like to be in the same schools that I'm a principal or superintendent. My wife stays at United. My daughter graduates from Alexander. 10 years go by. I come back. I see him on the weekends. Now my son's 20. Where'd he go? How did that happen? Oh, but we would sit in the teacher's lounge or we'd sit in meetings. Wow, I can't wait to retire. I only have 4 more years to go. I only got 2 more years to go. And, you know, everybody talked about retirement. And all of a sudden, I've got 32 years and I have to consider retiring. But I want to come home. I want to come home. I want to be with my family. So I accept a job. My wife says, take the weekend off and start working in Laredo. Wow, what a wonderful idea. Beautiful idea. So you see staccato there? It goes down. Because I end up being the executive director of the South Texas Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. And I am so blown away. Because then I realized that we have several offices that I need to close. Right before Christmas, I had to lay off 60 people. I had never experienced that. Telling somebody they don't have a job right before Christmas. Close down the offices in Weslaco, in Rio Grande, in Zapata, in Hebron, and the office in Laredo is barely hanging by a thread. Out of almost 80 employees, we now have 11. And I feel very close to how I felt in 77. But I know better. Because today, if I were to decide to hurt myself or to end it, I would stop experiencing what the future has in store. In between there, I've already become a grandfather. If I would have killed myself in 77, I would have never experienced getting married. I would have never experienced being a principal of 4 schools. I would never experience having a son, a daughter, being a superintendent, and be able to stand right before you today. So I ask you, I want to give you a gift today. This is my gift. I want you to plot your life there. I don't want you to share it with anybody. And I want you to look at the high points, and I want you to look at the low points of your life. And I want you to understand that you cannot believe one moment that low point is going to be there forever. I don't know what you're experiencing right now. I don't know what you're thinking about today. Today is Monday. It's April 2013. Close your eyes for just a few seconds. Picture yourself 5 years from now. In 5 years, those of you that are 18 are going to be 23. Those of you that are 15 are going to be 20. Those of you that are 16 are going to be 21. I'm going to stop right here because I'm going to bore you to death with the math. My point is just close your eyes. Where do you want to be in 5 years? What do you want to look like? Where do you want to be living? Who do you want to have by your side? Do you want to have a job or do you want to be in college? There's two things that I value. And as you're thinking about where you want to be in 5 years, I'm going to show you two things. I always wanted a Letterman jacket. I have not worn this jacket since 2001. I always wanted one of these suckers. But I wanted to get one of these playing sports. I realize that today one of these doesn't mean anything now for a lot of people. But when I was your age, this meant the world. If you could wear something that said that you were an athlete, you were somebody. I don't know how they found out, but my teachers, right before I left, gave me this jacket. And I put a plastic over it, and I take care of it. And when I die, I want to go with it. I don't want to be wearing it because it'll be too hot. But I want this jacket in my coffin because I value this. I never dreamed I would ever be the principal of the high school that I met my wife at, or took my wife out to dance. I already knew her. And at the same spot that I met her, I said goodbye to my students. Now, the other thing, you know what this is? What these babies are? They're little Casey's. You know how much these things are worth? Between $700 and $1,000. Notice how short I got? I always wanted one of these pair. You know what I got these last year? I never thought I was worth it. But you know how much I paid for them? I got them on sale. For $250. That's a pretty sweet deal, right? So whenever I get a little down, depressed, I put on my Lucchese's, okay, in the privacy of my home. And I might be wearing shorts, God knows. And then I will put my jacket on. And I'll turn on the lights. And I look myself in the mirror. Not bad for someone who's going to kill himself in 77. I don't have much time left. In summary, I want to give you this gift, not my jacket. Plot your life. And the last thing that I want, who are your heroes? This is one of my heroes. You know who she is? Mother Teresa. She is one of my heroes. You know that she had a pity party for 40 years? For 40 years she had a pity party. She didn't think God was talking to her. And look at all that she did. She had 40 years of darkness. And look at all that she did. Amazing, isn't it? Need to be careful. I used to think Lance Armstrong was my hero. What did we find out about Lance? He cheated. Be careful who you pick as your heroes. You know who the other true heroes are? If somebody wanted to kill you, and they asked for all the money in the world or their left arm, who would that letter go to? Your parents? Who would that ransom letter go to? Your parents, your grandparents, your aunt, your uncle, whoever's taking care of you. Those people need to be your heroes. You need to do what you have to do so that you do not ever, 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 ever break their hearts. Don't break hearts that don't need to be broken. Don't be selfish. Don't be thinking about yourself and your pity parties. Get with a program. You can't go back and change it. And you have to also remember that today is not a dress rehearsal for tomorrow. I'll repeat it. Today is not a dress rehearsal for tomorrow. We don't have any more time. You've been wonderful. You have done so much for me today. I am on a high right now. God bless you.